Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Michael, KE4EST. And you probably have seen not as many things going up on the channel, and part of that's because parts, with this crazy situation we got going on right now, just can't get certain parts. Let's see, yeah, you can kind of see that right behind me. Trying to get you zoomed in on it a little bit. I don't really want to mess with it. I've got crazy stuff all stacked up around here and things going on there. But that is one of the projects that's waiting on parts. And this is one it's I'm trying to go through a little bit and do a couple things to it. You see it's partially restored. But I want to do a couple things before I decide if I want to do it. Let me zoom out, because there's a lot of things that I know other creators do it too, but there's been, I don't know, pretty good, maybe a handful of or so. I guess a handful is what, 5? Handful or so of videos I've went through and shot everything on, did everything on, got it all ready, even shot most of the footage. Some of it had the footage even rendered out and ready to upload, and for whatever reason, this or that or the other, decide I ain't going to upload it, or something else comes up, or this or that. And so that's one of those I'm kind of see, but it's pretty neat. It's the reason I chose it to restore it. It's kind of like the All-American 5s, but it has a transformer, so that's coming up hopefully really soon. Hopefully within a week or so you'll see the first part of that, and I'm going to put up part 1 and a part 2 is what I'm going to do on that. It just makes it easier on my internet now with the way things are, mainly is the reason I do that. And well, I've messed something around here. I don't know why I've got no oscillator all of a sudden. But then I've got the Hallicrafter's S85 right through there up on the shelf. That will be the next one. That will be the next project. Coming up is the Hallicrafter's S85, the one I've had. I think I've mentioned it before at a time or two in other videos. That one is let me see, I'm trying to think about it. It was sometime in the 90s. There's a friend of mine that had that, and I always liked it and looked at it all the time. He always had it just stuck over in a corner somewhere collecting dust, and I'd always bug him about it. He needs to sell it to me or give it to me or whatever, aggravating him. And it went on for years like that, and it was, I guess, around the turn of the century, 99, 2000, 01, something like that. It's been about 20 years ago. He finally mentioned one day that he would trade that to me for something. I had I think it was a 2 meter or 4, no, I know what it was. It was a dual band 2 meter 440 radio that I had, mobile rig that he wanted, that now I wish I'd have kept. It's one of those really highly sought after ones now. If you ever looked at the price of those things, it was the Yaesu FT90, a little bitty tiny with 50 watts and everything, Yaesu dual band. And it's crazy, I've thought about that time too. I thought, well, I'll just look on eBay or something, grab me another one or whatever, and whoa, those are really, really pricey. So I wouldn't, unless you just wanted to have it for a collector's item, I wouldn't worry about it. But I think mainly it's because they didn't make another one, or anybody did, that was that small. It worked really good, and a lot of people use them for motorcycles and things like that, and that's what they're really sought after now. If you can find one, you get a full 50 watts, you got, or at least on 2 meters. But I traded him, he wanted that, and I had, I've always got all kinds of radios. I got some, you ever see them around here. I've got some I haven't been hooked up in a long time. I've got all kinds of radios, and I always want to try out new radios. And he wanted that, and I said, well, I'll trade it to you. What you got trading? Didn't even think about the S85. And he said, well, what about that Hallicrafters? I said, the S85? He said, yeah. I said, okay. So he probably come out better on the deal. I don't know, but anyway, we traded. And so I've got that, and it's been sitting there for about 20 years now. And it's got some issues on the face of it. You'll see it in the video. That where the labeling on it stuff's a little bit rubbed off, wore off, or whatever. And I don't really have any way to do that perfectly, And for years and years, I've looked for maybe somebody's got a junker or something, or one that somebody's really damaged beyond repair that I can steal the front panel off of. And I've not come across one yet. I did come across an interesting one where a guy was selling it, and he was real proud of it, that he had converted it completely to solid state. And I guess it's neat, he was showing a demo of it and everything, and it sounded good and worked, good. And I guess one way that's neat, that he knew enough what he was doing to change everything over to solid state. That he, put diodes in the rectifier and stuff, and he used MOSFETs. I think he said. I think that's what he said. He used a lot of course, FETs. Any kind of FET is going to be, it's a voltage operated device, kind of like a vacuum tube. But anyway, he used FETs and stuff and all that, and he was real proud of it. Said it'll be work forever, never fail. But and he wanted a lot of money for it, like $300 and something, and I thought, but I just kept thinking, man, you took something, a piece of history, and it's neat that you can do that, but if he was going to do that, maybe you should just built one from scratch yourself instead of doing that to it, but took all the tubes out, But anyway, so that's what's been going on here. Mainly at the first part of a couple months ago, it was all the kids home with everything, and so much going on, trying to work a regular job and all that, and the kids and all that stuff. That was crazy. And I don't know, it was just weird. Really weird times right now. So that kind of cut into stuff. And then it's still, at the time, I was still digging through some of my stuff, or always looking for stuff. Some of the stuff I'll put on as something I just acquired, and so I'll get it, restore it, put it on the channel. Some stuff I've had for years, where I've collected, because I've always collected tube stuff ever since I was a teenager. I always loved the tube stuff. And I remember back then when the 80s guys would be telling me, hey, why do you like this old tube stuff, man? Because everything was pretty much made the transition by the 80s. And still quite a few guys using some of the tube radios, or like the radios would be, kind of like a Kenwood TS 830 or something. All solid state except for the finals. It'd have a driver tube and, what was it, 2 6146s or something. What was that, 12 BY7A for the driver? Trying to go from memory. I had one of those too for a while. But everybody was trying to get me, why would you put a tube, man? Solid state's the way to go. And it is, and I like solid state stuff. I've got a lot of solid state stuff. And, like some of these new radios, some of the new ICOMs coming out, and the Yaesu, like that new 101, it's awesome. Love those radios and stuff. And like new modern, especially oscilloscopes and things like that. It's really neat what you can do with them. But I still like tubes. I've always liked tubes. I still like the tubes. I still like tube stuff. So that guy switched over from tubes to solid state. I was like, oh man, and it would have been neat to have it if it was reasonable, but way too much money. He's way too proud of it. And he actually was selling. It wasn't like something he was showing, and maybe he would sell it if he actually had a sign there, for sale. It was at a Hamfest. But anyway, so I just want to give a little bit of channel update of what's going on and why. You know, I was doing 2 or 3 videos a month, and now all of a sudden they've just kind of slacked off, and that's the reason some of the projects waiting on parts, and some stuff I can just get like that, just still like nothing ever happened. I can order it, and like Mauser and DigiKey, you know, in a couple days, bam. You know, and then some stuff is, some places it's, you'll sit there and watch it track. I think it really depends on where it ships from. And I mean, inside the United States, you know, it'll ship. And I'll sit there and watch it. Some little small thing first class. It ain't like something heavy and expensive or fragile or some special thing about the package. And it will take days and days and days and watch it track just for 2 or 3 states away. And it'll stay in one place forever for a few days. I'm like, what is going on here? And I find out that some places their staff is lower because of the current situation and things like that. So anyway, enough of me rambling on here. That's what's going on. I'm going to put a video up here where I go through and look at a Morse machine. It's the AEA Morse machine, if you remember those things. And I've got it sitting right here. This came out in 1989. And this is something else that I acquired this, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago or something. Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Maybe it was in the last couple of years. I got this, picked this up at Hamfest for a few dollars. Works great. Nothing wrong with it. These used to be really expensive, hard to get. And I remember a friend of mine, different friend, he had one of these things, and I was always amazed with everything you could do with it and all that stuff. And as a teenager, years ago, I got my ham ticket when I was a teen. I was 18 years old and an extra with 20 word minute code with multiple choice fill in the blank, or not multiple choice, with fill in the blank. You actually had to write, and if I misspelled something, we would get it wrong. And that took a couple times, but anyway. He had one of these, and I was always fascinated with it. And even though I had programmed at this time already, you know, on the old Atari computers and Apple computers, Apple IIe's and stuff like that, and I even acquired I think it was a 386 at the time. I had got one and was starting to program with that, and you know, the QBasic or whatever. But I'd start off on like regular, you know, whatever basic was on Apple and basic on Atari that came with it, and knowing how that stuff worked inside, knowing they got 6502 processor chip, and you get your separate RAM chip, and you get your ROM chip over here, and all this. I didn't think much about it. These things, I was just fascinated, you know, if this thing would work, and just didn't think much about it. But I've got a book on this somewhere that I had gotten years ago with some stuff. And I think I kind of know where it might be, just about where it's at. And I'm sure it's on the internet, but before I do that and look it up or whatever, I want to open this up and see what's in it. You know, with the memory banks and the way you can program it and stuff, it's got to have some kind of a chip in it. I don't know if it's 8088 or something like that, or probably a little bit more newer. And got to have some kind of RAM for it, and some kind of ROM chip to run the code, and some sort of RAM you can store messages. I don't know if it's some kind of a double EEPROM or if it's a static RAM or a battery backed up RAM. I don't know, but I want to take it apart and see how much I can figure out of it before I look at the book. I don't even know if the book's got the schematic in it. I know a lot of ham radio stuff, you know, designed for ham radio comes out with schematics a lot of times for hams, but I don't know if that did or not. But anyway, so I've rambled on enough here. I will let's see here. Yeah, I've been going on about 15 minutes, so I'll end this video. Don't want to bore you to death, and just look for this stuff. There's other stuff coming up. We'll go through this and look at it, and that's about it. So until the next video, this is Michael, KE4EST 73.